Hello and welcome to Afro Fuse, your home for everything African urban music. On the show today, we are joined by a legendary producer, songwriter, and singer, Chris. Karibu sana.
Asante.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right. One of your biggest tracks so far, Kenchik. Did you expect it to be that big of a hit?
No. In fact, Kenchik was supposed to have been a joke. You know, I wrote it in about half an hour, and we were making fun of other friends of ours were saying, hey, these guys have put us out a song about a restaurant and it's so popular. Then I said, I know what, I can't even write a song about Kenchik. Wait. I sat down and started writing it. And my housemates at that time were laughing. I was saying, no, there's no way you can write a song about Kenchik. Then I played it for them and said, you should play that on stage. And we did, and it was received really well. It made people laugh. And for me, I'm always happy when I'm playing a gig and I can see people reacting to the music, even if they're just sitting and not dancing, but they're laughing to the lyrics, and I know that I'm speaking to them. And the story in Kenchik is just generally about this guy who likes a girl, but she likes the high life, and she's not necessarily well off, or rather, she didn't have the money to be able to sustain the kind of life that she wants to lead. And the guy has tried his absolute best. He wants to take her to Kenchik, but she wants to go to Java. And some of the hype nowadays is people get famous for being famous. So that's the Kenchik girl.
All right. Is that your story?
No, it's not my story. When we were younger, we used to like to hang out. Our church office was somewhere near Kenya Cinema, and we used to go and spend the whole day there. And we used to see people going on dates all the time. I mean, those days there were no cell phones, so it was that one of you wait next to the phone booth. If your boyfriend or girlfriend calls, you'd better be there because someone else is going to pick up the call and say, hey, umepiga wrong number or something, you know, something like that. And people would wait for each other for the entire afternoon. And that's also part of the story that where Kenchik came from. This girl is at Kenya Cinema. She wants the high life. She wants to be picked in a cab. She doesn't want to take a matatu into town, you know.
So it's a story of the average urban relationship.
That's the story.
Now, still on a related note, this girl that you keep singing about throughout your tracks, come on, come clean.
Well, this is I have friends. I have a lot of friends who are in relationships. And I see the things that they go through. See how I'm getting myself out of this situation. And I see the things that they go through, and that's what inspires some of the songs that I write. So I write love songs, happy love songs, some sad love songs, some about desires. I mean, like there's a song called Someday, which is just generally about this guy who likes this girl, and is just telling her, you know what, if I could be all these things, I'd be those things to you, but you will be mine someday. And it's stories which I've seen, things that I've seen happening around me. So those songs are not about any single particular girl.
They are mainly across the span of your life.
No. You're just trying to get me in trouble. No. It's just about different people. And the stories are not necessarily about me.
Remember, you can get in touch with us. Tell us what you think about his music on Facebook. Our page is Afrofuse. On Twitter, it's at Afrofuse. But right now, we are with him, the legend himself, Chris.
In the house.
In the building.
In the building.
Now, in terms of the work that you've done with other people, is it a thing that you have? You just enjoy working with other artists? Is it part of your signature? What is it? What's the idea behind it?
Well, I like learning from people, and I like teaching people as well. I've not always thought of myself as a really good songwriter. In fact, I don't even think of myself as a really good songwriter. I think I'm an okay songwriter who gets lucky and writes good songs for really good artists.
You get lucky a lot.
Well, musically. And I'm also not much of a singer. I don't consider myself a singer at all. I just sing because it's necessary for me or rather, it's necessary for my band to have a lead singer. So I find myself in that position. Working with all these people, for me, it's just a great opportunity to interact with them and learn from them and teach them at the same time, and also teach other people who will be listening to the music later on.
Speaking of the music, listening to your performances from the past, including Live at the Elephant, there is an urban feel to it. At the same time, there is a more benga-ish feel to it. What's the idea behind that? Where are you going with that?
Now you've just gotten yourself into trouble because I'm going to talk for hours. No, I'm kidding. So I think, for me as a musician, I try to, because I enjoy all styles of music. I enjoy jazz, I enjoy classical music, I enjoy Hindi music, I enjoy Arabic music. Generally, anything that starts playing, I begin to analyze it, and I begin to find things that I can learn from it. So benga is very local. It's a very local sound. I can say it's arguable where benga came from, but then it's music which the moment you hear it as a Kenyan, you know, this is home. And I like the stories that they talk about in benga. I mean, a song can have maybe just a chorus. The chorus is the story, but the rest of it is just people's names being called. And for me, that's fascinating, because if you're listening to a song for 7 minutes and they're just singing people's names and it sounds so poetic, there has to be something in there. So that's why I really like benga, because the rhythms, the melodies are rich. So it's easy to fuse it with other styles of music. And for me, I'm a big advocate of fusion, Afro fusion, or whatever people want to call it. I like house music. So how do I bring house music and play it live and put in benga inside there? So what I did is I decided to create a style which I'm calling Bengenge, and a lot of people are embracing it, even though they're not calling it Bengenge, they're calling it whatever they want to call it. But there's benga inside there. When you hear that 7 guitar on a house beat, that's Bengenge. Tell everybody that's Chris Adwar. No, I'm kidding. Because the thing is, benga is benga. If Will.i.am did a track, a benga track now, it would be benga, done by Will.i.am. You see, because benga has a name. So I think it's very, very important to name genres, and it's a point where I know exactly where I'm going with it, so I can argue with any musician anytime. The day someone beats me in that argument, I'll say, okay, cool.
You know exactly where you're going with this.
Exactly
where are you going with this?
I'm trying to create a sound which people can say this is Kenyan, because Kenya has a sound, even though we Kenyans ourselves are not ready. We readily criticize our Kenyan music and say, nah, but Kenyan music doesn't have a sound. It does have a sound.
Does it?
It does, yes. And when you hear benga, when you hear fundamentals, you know, it's Kenyan. There's no way that it's Congolese, it's Kenyan.
You have an incredible amount of experience with live performances. What do you believe the reception is so far? Is it growing? Is it waning?
I think the reception of live music is growing, and it's growing really fast. And Kenyans like live music. Even the ones, the cool people who say, you know, this song doesn't bump enough, so we're not going to play it in the club. It doesn't rock. I can't play it in my car. You know, even they like live music, because when you play and you go with a CD, they ask you, you don't have a band, you know. But what my opinion is, you have to make it work as a musician. If what works for you is going with a playback CD and playing, it's still a live performance. It's just you don't have a band. It's just you need to find a way to keep the audience captivated enough. Now, we've seen all over the world the size of bands is changing. I mean, there are 2-piece bands, there are 3-piece bands, there are 5-piece bands. 15-piece bands. It doesn't matter what size of band you want to work with. But then if you can put out a good live performance that can engage the audience, then you should go ahead and do that. And what I think is also that the frequency of live performance needs to be increased. I think some bands like us guys, we keep being asked, where do you play? And we don't have an answer for that, because we play the festivals, we play corporate events. But then if someone else come and see me on a Tuesday, there's nowhere for them to come and see me. So I think bands need to actually go out there and get gigs which they can be able to play regularly. So at least you can say, at least maybe fortnightly you are at a certain place. The truth of the matter is you burn out. There's a lot of work and preparation that goes into it. But with time, it gets easier because there has to be a reason why bands like Kidum, Seabash have been playing all these years and they still play. And they're not doing badly. And I have a few friends who believe that playing in a pub regularly is overselling. I think, cool, it could be overselling, but when you realize that now you're overselling, then you cut down on the frequency, but you have to do something that makes you as popular as the mainstream acts. Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the areas where live bands suffer from. Because when someone thinks of contracting the Villagers band to play at the gig, they ask, oh, can you play Zilizopendwas? Yeah. Can you play some covers? Can you play some soul? They don't want to listen to our own songs. Not that our own songs are bad. When they come to our gigs, they say, hey, you guys are so good. In fact, I'm going to give you a gig next month. Then they call you, and then they tell you, okay, so I saw you at Carnival and I really liked your performance. So can you play covers? Yeah. It's a shame.
Yes. And on a final note, I give you 30 seconds for this one.
Good luck.
30 seconds.
Good luck.
Given a take two, if you had to start anything afresh, what would you start afresh?
What would I start afresh?
30 seconds.
I think I'd go to music school and study a lot more theory and production, get my papers. That's the only thing I'd do different.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Karibu.
Sante sana. We've been joined today by Chris Adwar, and he's been telling us about his journey and his music. Remember, you can tell us more about your views, what you think about his music as well as African urban music in general. The page is Afrofuse, and on Twitter, we are at Afrofuse.